Hello everyone, welcome to Frontline Conversation. The Union government has decided to include caste census in the coming census, that is a caste enumeration in the coming census. And there are many organizations demanding for multiple things. So recently, a group of organizations, mainly from the denotified and nomadic tribes, they have also demanded a separate column in the coming caste census, and they are also demanding a subcategorization in that separate column. So we are going to discuss about this in this interview. We are joined by Dr. Ganesh Devy. He is well-known public intellectual of India, very respected public intellectual. But at the same time, he is also founder of Denotified and Nomadic Tribes Right Action Group in 1998. He is actually pioneer in this section, and he is the one who has been working in the notified and nomadic tribes for all these decades. He has also written a excellent book, Nomad called Thief, that is in 2007. And so we are going to discuss about the demand and how he is looking at the current scenario of caste census in perspective of this denotified and the tribal rights. So welcome, sir. Welcome, Frontline.
Thank you.
So my first question is: the Union government has approved this caste enumeration in the census, and looking at the exercise and that is going to take place from next year, the denotified tribes have demanded a separate column in census. You were the first person to make this demand way back. You were the champion of the rights of these denotified and tribes people. So, what is your reaction to this demand? How do you live? How do you look at it?
Well, in order to understand that, the way to go back in history. Census in India started in 1871 during the colonial times. It was introduced by Lord Mayo, who was the Governor General at that time. But it's the same Governor General, Mayo, who introduced an act in 1872, which is called the Criminal Tribes Act. Now, the 1871, not 1872, sorry. The Criminal Tribes Act brought under its purview a number of communities that were essentially nomadic and not sedentary. And because the British were trying to decide on the nature of citizenship, that is, their subject citizens, Praja, they wanted people having addresses as the subject citizens. And therefore, nomads were seen with suspicion. As a result, they were actually imposed area restrictions. Many of them were kept in soft prisons called settlements, reformatory settlements. They continued to be there. In fact, they were used and even abused. They were made to do hard labor without any wages. Lots of roads, stations, buildings built during the colonial times were built by these people without receiving any wages. Several generations passed like this, and in 1952, all these communities were freed from their settlements. The notification of criminality, which was a false criminality, it was these were innocent people, but brought under that act, like coin makers, entertainers, nomadic sadhus, bowl singers, people who look after sheep and goat and camels and elephants. All kinds of people are brought under the CTA. So in 1952, they were denotified, and another act was brought in called Habitual Offenders Act. But these people had become suspicious in the eyes of the police, the judiciary, and general society. And therefore, their tragedy did not stop with the denotification. It continued. Now, since 1952, and even a little before that, from 49, when the Iyengar committee had looked into the plight of the notified tribes, etc., there has been a demand that a census be carried out. So, in 2001, after I had set up the Denotified and Nomadic Tribes Rights Action, the DNTRAG, we had approached the Human Rights Commission, and the National Human Rights Commission accepted the demand that a proper census, be carried out. Most people in this country think that DNTs are exactly like tribes, which arises out of a lack of understanding as to who the DNTs are. When the denotification was made in 1952, it was done differently in different states because till that time our linguistic states had not emerged. So part of India was Bombay Rajya, Bombay Presidency, Bengal Presidency, Central Presidency. All of that was reorganized in the 50s. And so the denotification happened state-wise, old state map and new state map created further confusion. So some of these communities were placed in the list of STs, but very few. Some were placed in the list of SCs, but very few. All others were neither ST nor SC, but had to face worse the intimidation and torture, tormentation by the society in general, the police in particular, and the judiciary was indifferent to them because their names often occurred in the list of preventive detentions, that is, potential criminals. When some VIPs to pass by, there are preventive detentions. So these people are the ones bundled up in a police station once, twice, thrice. Then they become habitual offenders in the police papers. So all this leads to a terrible exclusion. So in 2001, when the NHRC said, let there be a census, we had approached the central government. They appointed a commission. And in order to boost the work of the commission, strengthen the work of the commission, a technical advisory group was appointed. I was chairing that technical advisory group. Our recommendation was the first recommendation to carry out a census, to know who they are, where they are, how many of them are there. Then alone a scheme or a plan for their elevation can be formulated. Then the commission also gave the similar kind of recommendation. This was during the UPA time. But when the UPA rule was over and NDA rule came in, yet another commission was appointed, headed by Idate. The earlier commission was headed by Renke. So Mr. Idate's commission also recommended that a proper census be carried out. We just do not know how many people in this country belong to DNT categories. There are close to several hundred communities are included in that. I mean, I can name them, but to save your time, I'm not naming all the communities. But these communities have not been enumerated any time after 1931 census, which was a good caste census. Now, this time round, the NDA bloc was asking for a caste census. The government within EV agreed to do a caste census. The census has said they will carry out a caste census, but in the caste census, they are asking whether, and in the general population census, they are asking whether you belong to a scheduled tribe or a scheduled caste or the general population. How will they find out which of the tribes, which of the scheduled castes, which of the none of these were at one time declared as DNTs? Because their problems are of a different kind. Their problems are not just poverty or lack of access to education and healthcare. Those problems they have, but their problem is primarily lack of dignity in the society. People look
Yes.
at them as thieves, as pickpockets, as criminals. And if that has to be removed, stigma has to be removed, then we need to know what has to be done for them. And for that, a census must provide data. I mean, their suffering began in 1872. We are in 2026. And thus, closely 150 years, 6, 7 generations have passed. and their plight is worse than the plight of the black in America or Jews in Germany. There are, if one were to look at the prisoners who are without any trial kept in the custody,
Yes.
the maximum number, the maximum number is of DNTs, and this is an official report.
So basically, to provide the life, provide the dignity to the life, that caste census is going to be the most important step. So there is also demand for the subcategorization in that column of DNT column. So and this demand is also made within the communities, within the organization. So what is your take on it?
See, again, we have to look at the history of the process.
Yes,
See,
sir.
the nomadic communities, where nomadic and non-sedentary communities were brought under this category by the British from different parts of the country. And I'll give an example. When Mayo brought in that act, Criminal Tribes Act, within just a few months' time, in October 71, this came in. In February of March 72, Mayo was murdered in Andaman by a man called Sher Ali Afrati. He was from Afghanistan, that is Western, he was a Pakhtun. He belonged to that area. But at the same time, there were people from Maharashtra, there were people from Tamil Nadu. Now, their culture, their backgrounds, their professions, occupations, their lifestyles were vastly different. There are semi nomadic people in our country who migrate for 6 months but settle for the remaining 6 months. In Maharashtra, there is a cultural phenomenon called Wari.
Yeah.
It all began with such semi nomadic people who go to the Konkan area for 6 months, right up to the sea coast. But as soon as the monsoon begins, monsoon is appearing on the horizon, they return for doing agriculture. And after the agricultural season is over, they once again start their migration. So
Yes.
these are semi-nomadic people. There are some who used to do migration for the purpose of trade and commerce. People like Banjaras, who have been migrating from India, Rajasthan, all the way to what is known in history as the Silk Route, and way beyond to Hungary and Poland and those countries for a good over 1,000 years. So these are nomadic communities. The life of semi-nomadic, life of nomadic communities is different. Similarly, there are people called Sasis who are originating in Punjab, and they were kind of traders of arms and makers of arms. And they have been migrating from Punjab to through Rajasthan to Gujarat, Maharashtra. In Gujarat, they are called Charas. In Karnataka, in Rajasthan, they are called Kanjars. In Maharashtra, they are called Kanjar Bhatts. Now, their lifestyle and requirements are different. But then there are fully settled people who used to have heavy instruments like Vadar community in Karnataka, which came historically from the Orissa, Odra, that became Vadra, and in Marathi, it became Vadar. Now, these Odras had heavy hammers. No, if you go to Bombay and look at the what was that one time the Victoria terminus BT or Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus now CST, that building is built by Vadars who used to wield heavy hammers, but they were declared as the criminal tribe by the British because the British were scared of their use of instruments which could occasionally be used as weapons. But these are fully settled people. Therefore, different classification has to be done as to what degree of suffering these people are gone through, what is the nature of their livelihood, what are their exact requirements. See, out of water community, now people have graduated. Similarly, out of Dhangar community, people have built houses, but still not fully settled. If you go to Vanagujars in the Himalayan area, then you find that they are migrating in a peripatetic way. That is, they have a vast but determined area. So from one end of that area to another end they go, but then they will go return. And you may remember that that little girl, Vanagujar girl, was raped, and there was nobody to take her complaint. So they are exposed to different kind of calamities. Besides, when new roads are built, new highways are built, railway lines are built, we migrated the field for migration gets truncated, and therefore it impacts the life of the people. Now, if this had been a small community with a few hundred or maybe a few thousand, one could have perhaps left them alone to mix and merge with the other communities, or what we call the mainstream. But the numbers are vast. I mean, the estimates are that these could be easily between 10 to 12 crores. Oh, roughly 10% of 9% of Indian population. And if the census does not take a good count of these people, how in the world can government decide how to change their situation? What is sabka saath, sabka vikas? And the census alone can do it. And census has all the wherewithals to carry out such a count. So it's just a matter of introducing one more question, and that's all about it.
So you mentioned about the Idate Commission report that came in 2017. That report says that there are 1,200 denotified tribes in India. So do you believe that with the census, government should bring these communities in one section, one category, and at par with STs and SCs?
For the this is for the general viewers of this program.
Hmm.
Anybody will think that SC, ST, TNT
Hmm.
are options out of which one chooses. Anyone will choose that, but that is not the case. DNTs can be part of ST, can be part of SC, can be part of general population also. So the census will have to create another question, not out of this, not in the question which says, are you SC, ST, or general population? That's where they should not add another option. They should create an additional question, particularly, and they have to be particularly careful where they know old settlements were created by the British. There are 52 such locations in the country, in different states. So a new question will have to be created. That is, are you or any one of your parents or any one of your grandparents having a DNT?
Oh,
This question must have a historical frame bracket of 1950. Since 1950, like when I say this, please let's recall that when citizenship is being assessed through SIR, the questions asked are your parents born or grandparents born in India before 87 or after 87? And if it is after 87, are they born after 2003 or before 2003? Because up to 87, you required one of the parents to be Indian for you to be an Indian. After 2003, you require both your parents to be Indians in order you to be Indian. So, such a question can be created as an independent question in the census. And if the census goes the SIR way, it will be worse than the remedy will be worse than the disease itself,
yeah.
because
Sir,
the DNTs don't have documents.
yeah, yes.
They cannot produce documents.
So it is also been noticed that there are some nomadic tribes like Vanjari in Maharashtra. Now they are categorized into OBCs in Maharashtra, but that is a subcategory is a VJNT, Vimukta Jati nomadic tribe. So how do you see there is inequalities among OBCs and again Vanjari, and there are multiple issues of conflicts, sometimes political, sometimes social. So how do you think that this issue can be addressed through a caste census, especially because they will ultimately say we are in OBC, we want quota in OBC, and all these kinds of things will come. So bringing them into this DNT column how that is going to address these things?
Well, the OBCs, the SCs, the STs definitely deserve and need a measure of social welfare. That's our constitutional guarantee. And that history goes all the way back to the Vedic times when Varnashram system was created. So the without violation of any of their rights, their entitlements, it is possible to think of the DNT separately, and the census is a great instrument to begin that thinking. Let me explain this. If somebody says, I'm OBC, but I am also VJNT. VJNT is Vimukta Janajati. Vimukta is the literal translation of denotified. They were bolded. They were removed out of the bond, being bounded, and and therefore they are called Vimukta in Marathi. That is in Hindi, in different states, the translations were made differently. In Hindi, the some of these are called as Yayavar jatis, nomadic tribes. So in Marathi, they are called Bhatke. Check on that. So one can say I'm OBC, but my grandparents or my parents or me also belong to a, the community which is a denotified or a nomadic or a semi-nomadic community. This is not in answer to the same question. In the question which they ask, are you OBC? They will say yes or no. But in the additional question, when the question is, have your grandparents or parents or you been DNT? They will say yes or no. That way, we will know the population of, without disturbing this OBC, SC, ST distribution, without at all disturbing it, yeah, we will get to know how many DNTs there are in the country and how many communities. Because Itate's claim is 12. Renke's claim was 600. Here estimate was 191. When Mahashweta Devi, the great Bangla writer, and I, we started the work, we had found in the British records 191. When we compared those communities with the Case Singh's Anthropological Survey of India, the People of India series, we found that out of 191, 154 were described in by Anthropological Survey of India as the DNTs. So, in short, there is no also about the exact population. There is a lot of folklore and mythification. I remember clearly that on the basis of 1931 census, which was the last such census, and it where DNTs were counted, but the said that census was for a different geography. The map of India was different in 1931, and but on the basis of that, when I did an estimate in 1998, our estimate said there are about 6 crores. NK increased that estimate after a lot of travel in India. He started saying there are 12 crores. Idate is saying there are 15 crores. All these figures are based on guess and estimates. Why? I mean, how can you decide the taste of, say, if you bring tomatoes, cucumbers, and garlic together and decide which is the exact taste of, that you will not know. That is, these estimates are based on some, based on a mixed sources, mixed
Also
sources.
assumptions.
Assumptions, and they may be close to reality. But census will be able to come up with exact reality, how many DMTs there are in the country. And if we know the number and the exact number of communities and the areas from which people report, because the census reports come state by state, district by district. So the census will be able to say, well, such and such district has so many DNTs. Therefore, the government should provide them mobile schools. Such and such state has so many DNTs. And therefore, with the, our country has been boasting of skill building. But these are people with very peculiar skills. I mean, they know about animals, birds, they know about metals, they know about sand, they know about rocks. Then some of them are traditional geologists, call them that. So this skill building can be honed, can be dovetailed to meet the needs of the population.
Yeah.
And I'm sad. I'm sad and also I'm angry, really angry, that while the Idate Commission, which is a NDA appointed commission and the commission appointed by UPA, why the Registrar General of Census has not taken into account the need to count the DNTs. As
Yes.
the Registrar General of Census has very the easiest access to advice from the Anthropological Survey of India, the Geological Survey of India, the Biological Survey of India, Botanical Survey of India. So why is he not doing it? Or is this census only for delimitation and not for a proper population check? And that is whether SIR, census, delimitation are a single spectrum where the Indian democracy is being given a new shape, or if the census really wants to do something for the people. Among the four objectives of the census, which are declared, officially declared, one is to, to provide data to governments for their planning and planning related to people, which means welfare measures. So if this is a count related to welfare measures, and if you don't count people who have who are the worst among the sufferers, they're the worst among the minorities in the country, historically victimized by colonialism. And after independence, they still not received anything, a proper measure of welfare. I think the census should have done this proactively, and that's what makes me angry.
So there is also one question about the demands of already denotified communities to get into the STs. Like in Dhangar in Maharashtra, they are the most of the Dhangar in Maharashtra are asking to get into the ST. So while creating all these columns, there could be a political crisis, and there could be there could be a political crisis. So how that political crisis could be addressed?
There must be a political crisis must arise.
Okay.
Must arise.
Mm.
I'm saying this because uh, if the poorest of the poor and the weakest of the weak does not get benefit of a democratic governance, then a crisis must emerge so that that benefit will reach those people. Besides, counting the people does not mean that any request for for inclusion in a list of SC or ST is accepted.
Yeah.
Thus, it is not the business of the census to decide who should be in ST and who should not, who should be in SC. The census is only recording situation of the people as it is on the reference date, and the reference date for the coming census is made 1st March 2027. So on the 1st March 2027, the census should be able to say how many people in India were there. The census is not also looking at who is a citizen and who is a Guspeti and all that. It is not the job of census. It's just looking at how many people there are in the country on that day. How many of them belong to general categories? How many are SC, ST? How many are DNTs? They should be able to say how many women and men. For instance, there are issues related to women. And the census does make account of women, or there are issues related to children, children's health, children's education. The census does count the age groups of people. The census does count languages. Similarly, the census must count how many DMTs there are in the country. If the census does not do it, who else will do it? And the census happens only once in 10 years. And this particular census is happening after 17 years of gap.
Yeah.
That's where it is necessary for the census to be sensitized to do the DNT count. I
So
hope it
there is one tactical problem that mean to inform DNTs that there is a separate column for the DNTs in the census, because many of them are illiterate. That is the first, but more than that, many of them do not have the permanent addresses, and that is also the major problem in counting the DNTs. So, how do government should, you think that government should address this issue, and how government should make aware the DNTs about the separate column?
Yeah. You see, normally when the monsoon comes, the farmers wait for those who are dependent on monsoon, wait for the monsoon. The meteorological department of the government also makes announcements. But if we were to ask whether the farmers get to know when the monsoon is coming only because the meteorology department tells them, the answer is no. They're thirsty, they're waiting for, their eyes are set, they look at every cloud coming in the sky, and when it becomes thick and dark, and they know when it's going to going to rain. The DNTs have been looking at the census for the last 20 years. In 2002, the NHRC gave that judgment that they deserve to be counted. They in fact instructed this is a the NHRC is a kind of a court, and it is the NHRC order judgment that the census must be carried out. So every DNT community, and there is a lot of awakening among them. Every DNT community has been waiting for a census. Why their voice is not heard is, one may say, but if there are 10 crores and they're waiting for the census, why could they not go to census and tell them? The answer is, they are always a minority anywhere. They do not have political representation. SCs have, STs have, others have. Women are going to get, I'm very glad, beginning with the next Lok Sabha elections. But because they have no political representation and they are minorities in any given district, their population would be about 8% or 9% and not more than that. Therefore, they have no vehicle to take their voice to the census. And the Anthropological Survey of India, which advises the census officers, this preparation of census goes on for 5 or 6 years before it actually begins. In the 1921 census preparation had started 2021 census preparation has started in 2016. I remember their first meeting of the state census officers was held in 2016. So, and in those intervening years, they seek advice from the anthropological survey, from social scientists, from various government departments, from botanical survey, from geological survey. All of the census office knows that the DNTs are there. They know that they can be counted, but they're not doing it. It is not because they're helpless that they're not. It is not that because of helplessness they're not doing it. It is because they are not doing it.
Yeah.
That is because if the count of the DNTs will alter the political map of this country. SCs and STs and DNTs together. When STs are 9%, SCs 14%. If in addition to these two, if DNTs figures are added, and some DNTs overlap with STs, some overlap with SCs, but together these three categories will make roughly a 1/3 of Indian population. That will change the map of India. Other minorities taken together, like Sikhs, Christians, Jains, Buddhists, Jews, and Muslims together, the the hegemony of the upper caste Hindu will end completely. And that is where the census is not doing account of the deed.
So my last question, it was the British who labeled these tribes as a criminal. But despite the independence, the bureaucratic mindset has not changed even today. So you think this census would be an opportunity for the government to create awareness about these tribes? That is first, remove stigma surrounding them, and most importantly, educate the police force, because that is you were also talking about it just now. So this census is going to be important in this perspective also.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it. Everything you said is true. This will be a golden opportunity. This will be a great example of expansion of extending our democracy. And forget about democracy, humanitarian attitude. If we are saying Vasudeva Kutumbakam, then these people belong to, they are human beings, they belong to us, they belong to our society. We are they form our supply lines in many different, all the cane furniture you see, all the rope things that you see, there are so many small and big things they do. Just just when you drive in Bombay at any crossroad, people who bring little articles to sell for your use. Most of those vendors, boys and girls, little, they belong to DNTs, they Pardi communities, Pardis. So this is a great opportunity for the government, for the census, and for the Indian society, to uh, to expatiate, to cleanse themselves of their earlier sin of neglecting this term. If we miss this census, then I think we don't know when the next census will take place, because I doubt if after 27 any government will immediately spend money for doing another census in 31. One will have to wait till 2041 census. That's another 15 years, and that's a very long time for any community to wait for justice. And by then, children belonging to these communities will have entered areas of life and activity which are not exactly desirable. So here is a big problem with an excellent opportunity to avoid that problem, to provide justice, and also to prevent what is to come. Only for the sake of, for the sake of keeping the political establishment in a status quo, if the government is avoiding addressing this issue, then that the government can be described in a single word, that it is a self-obsessed, selfish government. And that's not good for the people.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thanks for talking to Frontline. Your words really carries a lot of weight in this issue. And as you said, that real Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas will start with the counting real people on the ground. So thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you indeed. Thank you.